Getting ahead in life and what holds us back. The topic for today. My email was down. It's been down for a day and a half. It's been hell. And I said to myself, oh man, I got to do this thing with Tim today. And I really want to do it. But it's pulling at me. And there's always something pulling at us.
Yeah.
It's when we make problems more important than they actually are. What do you think, Tim? What comes to mind with you? What holds you back?
Fear. But what that fear is to each person is very individual, individual. But something in each of our histories did something. It created some sort of fear that holds us back. Our subconscious really has complete control over our conscious mind. And really uncovering that is the secret.
It is, isn't it interesting? Because we both followed similar paths where we like to take in information, lots of information. But in looking back over the years, let's say 30 years or so of dumping information in, I'm not saying it hasn't had a positive effect on me personally, but I have to say a lot more has gone in than action has been taken. But we're leaving so much on the table, don't you think?
Yeah, it's funny because as you bring that up, I flash back to when I first started listening to Tony Robbins, and he was the first real, mentor or guru that I tried to listen to. And he was very clear. Like if you listen to me, you have to go do these exercises, take these actions. But I'd listen in the car driving to what was my job back then. I had this hour drive every day, so I listened to him back and forth, but I couldn't write while he was talking. And the truth is, I never took the exercises. I never did what he said to do.
Right.
However, I listened over and over and over. So without a doubt, it did start to sink in. But what could have been a 20% improvement to my life was, as you say, maybe a 2% improvement.
I agree.
So it does work.
It washes over you. I've heard people say, I don't like to take notes because I just like the information to wash over me. And first of all, to write something down definitely helps impregnate it into who you are and help manifest it.
Yeah. There was a study. They studied Harvard graduates, and I want to say this was from 1980, right? So Harvard graduates, 1980. They asked so 10 years later, they went back to those people and wanted to see where they were 10 years after they had graduated. And what the criteria was, those that wrote with their hand, wrote down their goals and how they expected to reach them. Second criteria was those that had goals but were not written down, and those that were just happy to graduate. It was less than 5% that had handwritten goals. That 5% earned more than the other 95% combined.
Yeah.
So when you say the power of writing it down, whether it's a note or your goals, and listen, I do my best. I really try very hard to do that now.
Sure.
But handwriting, particularly goals or notes, like
definitely.
Vital.
What I have found, because I go back about 15 years where I write my goals down every year, and I know they say New Year's isn't the best time to do it, so I don't do it at New Year's. I do it around November. I get a jump on New Year's. I write my goals down, I break them down into categories, and I'm able to track how far I've come and also how far I haven't come. I have the same goals on there for like 10 years, which I've taken care of right now, of course, because I hate to keep seeing them. But referring back to them, that's another thing. That steps it up another level. I mean, if we really want to we run at like 5 or 8% of our capacity. I mean, there's a lot of headroom in there for to be whoever we want to be.
Yeah.
I think also another part of it is that we stay so busy. And it's not just physically busy, because there's a lot of lazy people out there that just aren't busy, but I mean busy in the mind, where the mind is always going. It's always on 10 different things at once. And most of it is negative. And we don't pay attention to it anymore because it's become our norm. It's the status quo. It's where the bar is. It's our subconscious that runs 90% of us. We have very little free will. We really do. We tell ourselves we do. Something happens to us and we react the same way every time if it's the same type of stimulus. Every single time somebody pushes our button, that kind of thing. They're programmed responses. So, and I think we really need to pay attention to that extra 10% that we do have control over and really notice that we're being driven by something inside of us that is not very good.
Yeah, actually, it's funny, Steve, because I literally just an hour ago, I was finishing up a program I was listening to. They were talking about the conscious mind versus the subconscious mind.
Isn't that a great topic?
Or the unconscious mind. And he described it much worse than you just did. He said that our subconscious mind is the size of a building, right? It's the subconscious mind is a massive building, and it stores everything we do, including making sure that our heart beats.
Exactly.
But also every element of our history, everything we've ever done, every word ever spoken to us, all goes into our subconscious. But our conscious mind, the one that we work with every day, the one that me and you are using right now talking to each other, is the size of a pea.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Oh my God. So his the reason his point was that, listen, if you're talking to somebody and maybe they're not grasping what you're saying, or the conversation is just you're not clicking. He says you have to be aware that they're on autopilot, and it's the building that's talking to you, not the pea.
Great analogy.
The building is like to the pea. You have no control over me, and so sometimes it's logic you're trying to convey, or your point, and you want somebody to understand your point, but they're not going to hear your point because they have history. All
the noise.
Yeah. So autopilot is exactly what you're saying. And it's funny when you fill that building with negativity. How on earth are you going to expect anything to change?
See, that's the whole thing. I think that's a great point, because we don't even notice we're being negative. I mean, if we really pay attention, I'll have those moments during the day. I'm like, okay, I'm walking down the street and I'll just notice what my mind is saying. And there's these little things like, oh, look at that person, look at this person. It's judgment. It's not like it's subconscious. It's definitely subconscious. That's what runs us. I mean, thank God we have subconscious, because we can't pay attention to everything around us. It would be impossible for any human being to be on this planet. We need the subconscious. We walk, we talk, we have respiration, we breathe, we have all these vital things, but also it controls our mood. It controls who we are, who we've become. And we need to separate that out in order to get ahead in life. We really have to realize that those thoughts in our minds are not us. They're not us. And when we have the thought, there's an emotion. The emotion feeds the thought feeds the emotion, and before you know it, within seconds, you're like, boom! You're going way off, far off. And we think we're right, and we'll get into arguments and, we just keep snowballing down the road. It's just horrible. It's absolutely horrible, but we all do it. But, we'll get in a conversation with somebody. We know they're not listening to us, and we get that frustration. We know, but the tables are turned also. They're talking to us, and, we're thinking about what we're going to say. We're thinking about what we had for lunch. Oh my God, my underwear is too tight. I got to, I'm thirsty. I need a drink of water. I'm starting to slumber. Isn't that interesting? And
I really don't remember where along the way this happened to me, but I remember being so aware that we talk at each other. Right? That you're really not listening to me, and I'm really not listening to you. All I'm really doing is listening to you to find out how to respond. Right? So when I became really aware of that, like we're just talking at each other, and as somebody says something to me, like, you're just thinking about how do you respond to this? Finally, just fully listen. In fact, consciously, do not respond. Just listen.
Yeah.
Wholly. Yes, but what did start to happen is I became more conscious that your thoughts are your thoughts, and you're entitled to them. And I'm no more right than you are.
That's a great point.
Right? So, your subconscious, everything that's been piled and fed into your brain, look at politics, we can look at religion, whatever it might be. But as you feed the subconscious all this stuff, you're in your brain, well, you're right, because my brain tells me so. But being aware of it was a big change for me.
Sure.
And I really slow down and stop responding. But I hear people say all the time, well, I'm telling my truth. I hate that phrase.
Yeah, and how about the one about feelings? I mean, not that I'm totally into feelings. I go really deep, but the people that say, I feel this and I feel that. Okay, cool, great. Can we talk about the facts first? Can we at least bring the facts to the conversation?
Right.
Can the facts be a part of the conversation instead of just feelings?
Right. If I'm aware that you have feelings that could very well differ from mine because your history and whatever fed your well is very different than what fed my well.
Sure.
Like, all right, maybe, we're not going to agree perhaps, but I've taken the route that I'm okay with you having a very different thought process than mine.
Sure. And that is absolutely wonderful. And did you ever think about all the stuff you dump into yourself, right? And I used to have this belief, just because I read it and I understood it, that it was then a part of me, because I could interpret it and be able to speak about it, meant that, hey, that's me now. 180 degrees from the truth. I mean, you really only know this if you really watch yourself, or you get to hit your 50s and you realize everything you haven't been able to do. And with me, it was the 50s thing. But we think because we can spew out this information and even maybe touch somebody's life with it, that we got it. And we don't have it, because being able to do it in those difficult times, which is most of our life, anybody can do the things we should do during an optimum situation, but we're not in that. We don't live in that, Right. So we kind of come. Right. So getting ahead in life. I mean, all these things are pounding at us constantly. I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, but there's so much we can do about this. How do you feel about our mastermind group?
Is that we can absorb and listen and learn and watch and learn and do everything we can to learn, but it's hard to turn it into action. It's hard to do what you've just learned. But the difference with a true mastermind group, and specifically the one that we are involved with, is that it makes you accountable. And none of us, let me rephrase that, few of us are accountable to ourselves.
That's what's so great about this mastermind. I know. And all the ones, I mean, I always tell people, be around like-minded people that are positive, people that want to get ahead. And that's great and everything, but that lacks structure. It lacks a specific goal, in a sense, like a mastermind. Mastermind is, okay, we're each going to pick a place where we want to be within a certain amount of time. And then we'll all help each other with the steps in order to achieve that, which is great, because now we have a think tank. If we put the right people in the group, we have access to their brains. And I think the group setting in general, especially if it's an honest setting, like group therapy is and so is a mastermind, where people will actually tell you what they think. And that kind of feedback's important, because you're not going to get that from your wife. You're not going to get that from your parents, your friends, really. You're not going to get that. And if you get that kind of feedback, they're not going to be your friends, your family for long. So we go into this knowing that, hey, listen, we're going to be honest, and we may not even be right. This is what we thought. Yeah. This is what we think. This is what we said. And we could be wrong.
Yeah.
However, we're talking our truth. And when you put that together in a group, powerful, incremental changes every single day that we're in it, really in it.
There's a few reasons that which you alluded to there. Like, if you were to try to do this with your spouse or a family member, or somebody you hang out with all the time, there's other things that create, but let's not call it a friction, but there's other influences.
Sure. It's complicated.
A spouse might sit, you may ask a question, but in their head they're going, why did you take out the garbage?
Yeah.
It's just these different elements that are going to influence it. But when you take it from where the entire goal is to help the other person master and reach their goals, where that's your only intent. That's the reason you're in the group.
Yes.
So, right, if it's 4 people, it means 3 people are trying to help you. Now, what do you have to do? You have to try to help 3 people.
Mm-hmm. Good
right?
point.
But I think that's a pretty fair exchange. And we have to remove those personal histories, those personal experiences. This is not that it's data driven. It's not data driven, but a mastermind is like, listen, you have goals to reach. You just shared the goals. We're here to help you, and we're not going to, it's going to be blunt.
So it's really all about the doing. I have a tendency to over prep, and what happens with an over prep is it's never good enough, and you don't get the information, or you don't get your goal really, really started on because then I might run out of steam because I'm doing so much prep. you know, life takes over, and we take a detour. Even this morning, my email was down. It's been down for a day and a half. It's been hell. And I said to myself, "Oh man, I got to do this thing with Tim today, and I really want to do it, but there's this. It's pulling at me, and there's always something pulling at us.
Yeah,
it's when we make problems more important than they actually are.
Yeah.
And that's what we do with everything, though. We always take the challenges we have and boom, explode them in our minds. And they're little things. I'm not even talking in the scheme of things. Sure, we're alive, we're healthy, we're this, we're that. I just mean in general. They're all little. They really are. And they all get worked out, especially if you're the type that works things out. And these are the things I try to remind myself. In the last 24 hours, I only slept 3 hours last night because I was reformatting a hard drive and, tech support and all this stuff. And I said to myself, this is the test. It's not whether I can get my email up and running 100%. The test is, can I do what's most important when I'm being challenged so greatly? And boom, I thought about talking with him, and I'm like, yeah, this is where my energy should be going. This is where so the last 4 hours, I was formatting my hard drive. I was scripting this out. I was thinking about what we're going to do. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm saying to myself, wow, I feel great. I got it, You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you do have to listen. And again, you said it exactly right. Sometimes you just have to do. If you keep thinking about it, and when we were chatting earlier about these different types of topics, I wrote a few things down that I thought would be interesting. Because when you bring up this specific topic, when you were a kid, did you read a book about how to walk?
Nope.
No. How'd you learn to walk?
Doing it and doing it and doing it.
Kept doing it.
Didn't give up.
Did you fail?
Yes.
Of course we failed. Of course we failed. We fell over and over, and sometimes we fell and it hurt. It hurt. Did you stop?
Yeah.
No, you wanted to walk and you kept doing it. And I so often flash back to that simple, philosophy.
I wrote down a few things that I thought might help most people, including ourselves. Some things we already do, some things we're going to take to the next level. But of course, the mastermind, oh God, that's got to be the foundation, I think. Another foundational principle that I've been using for the past 3 weeks or so. Oh, it's been great. I've always wanted to do this. It's been on my goal list forever. And I don't wake up with an alarm clock because out of high school, I just did my own thing and I made my own hours. But anyway, I've always wanted to do a morning ritual where you get up before the sun rises in a good state of mind. Because I'll stay up to 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So that doesn't work for me. That's just been my natural pattern my entire life. And I started studying people that do this. The most successful people have a morning ritual where they wake up before their kids get up, before the wife gets up, before the sun gets up, and before you're used to getting up. And have a ritual where, in my case, I'll be putting it in the comments down below my list of things that I do. And I've been tweaking it along the way. I wake up right away. I'll drink a big glass of water. I'll take a couple of specific types of vitamins that I take. And I'll meditate for 40 minutes. And I like doing it when I'm a little bit groggy because my brain hasn't kicked in yet. You know what I mean? When you're tired, you're just waking up, your brain is sedate and it's peaceful. It hasn't latched onto those 1,000 things that you thought about yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. And then I'll do a few more. I'll go to the gym. I have all these things that I do. And I'm up a couple of hours before my kids and my family. Meanwhile, I'd be up a couple hours after them. And I try to squeeze it in. Doesn't work. But I stole that time from not watching TV 2 to 3 hours the night before. So you say, well, I can't get up that early because I don't have the time because I'm so busy. But if you really look at where we spend our time, I'm 3 or 4 hours of TV a night, even with working my full-time job here and everything else that I do. So there's plenty of time to be had. There really is, and still get you sleep. So I think a morning ritual, fantastic way to start the day. That and the mastermind have got to be the 2 greatest things I think I've implemented this year. A couple other quick things, motivational speaking, motivational people. I've gotten a bad rap the last 10 years. They don't want to use the word motivational anymore. But I'll tell you, when I'm going through stuff, which is every day you're being challenged, I need something to knock me back in. Our group is good. We'll connect during the week, like we're doing today. Our mastermind group isn't for another few days. But I think that's important. The motivational part of it, I'll jump on the treadmill for 20, 30 minutes. I'll put a motivational video from YouTube. I say to myself, how do I want to feel? Then I'll go through my list and I'll go, oh, I want to feel like that, because you know what it's going to give you. It's like eating your favorite food. You know what you're going to get from it. What do you think about that? What do you think about a morning ritual? Doing something different to set the day. Yeah. With me, starting early is huge. For some people, that's not. They start their day like that. They may even have some type of morning ritual, but I'll go through my goals. I'll spend an hour on my future every single day.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I will. So you and I lived the same life. We're night owls. Of course, even just working in the wedding industry for so many years, you didn't get home until 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes.
Good point.
But being up at 2 o'clock in the morning was not unusual for me, and I also did not have an alarm clock. So what does that mean, right? So did I get up at 9 o'clock or did I get up at 11 o'clock? I don't know.
I used to get up at 1 p.m.
Yeah. Oh, early on. Absolutely. So you don't know. And when that worked, fine, whatever. But if you're really looking to grow, you're right. Yeah. So listen, my wife gets up at 6:30 every morning, and she has her ritual before she leaves, gets in the car, work. I set the alarm clock for 6:30 every morning, because that's when she gets up. All right, so she gets up at 6:30. I'm getting up at 6:30. She gets up and goes to take her shower. I get up at 6:30. Something else I never did. I now make the bed and I go make my coffee. And while she's showering, I'm not doing what you're doing. I'm not that good yet. But the stuff that I used to spend from 9 to 10 to 10:30 doing, I'm now done by 8:30, and I'm always in the office before 9 o'clock.
Yeah, don't you find it's quieter? Don't you feel a quietness about that time?
What I found is that when I not that I need the structure, but getting I'll just call it the stuff, my morning stuff out of the way. Like when my day starts now at 9 o'clock, I just feel like, dude, you've got a solid, 10 hours. Just go ahead, just go. You get a lot done today. Yeah. Where I didn't have any particular, I'd meander in and
sure.
You didn't have that structure. I was not as efficient, not nearly as efficient. So it's rare now that I'll turn that alarm clock off. And the worst part is that I still have that opportunity to turn it off. Nobody's going to yell at me. But I really don't. I get up and I do it.
And I'll get
to your point, though. I'll get to the point where I'm doing what you're doing, where I have that many.
It's a little more. It's the same thing, but it's
things.
Right. But it's a little more focus on what we want the end result to be. That's gotten you, I'm sure, from what you say, it's been a great addition to your lifestyle. It's added something. It's added a lot. It could add a little bit more. I keep tweaking mine a little bit. Based on my interests, I'm able to go deeper into meditation now, so I'm doing it longer. I'm not doing the minimum. And I find a lot of people, including myself, I told myself I was going to do 15 to 30 minutes today. All right, I'll try to squeeze in 15 minutes. I mean, I remember being down here meditating, and my wife and kid were like screaming at each other, or they were laughing. They were doing something, and I remember running to my door, opening the door, and screaming up, "I'm trying to meditate! Shut up!" See, that was me in the early days, trying to squeeze it in to a chaotic lifestyle, and with meditation. Not to go up too much, but in meditation, it's a calm. It's trying to bring yourself to a point where your brain is as quiet as it can be, and then trying to take that into your real life. It's not to counteract. Most people use it. Oh, I'm so stressed, I got to meditate. No, it's really the other way around. It's there to be able to teach you how you should be in life.
Yeah. And, it's funny because I don't know how many people, listening or watching meditate. And this is another life lesson. So everybody in my industry teaches you need to meditate to really
is that a fact?
They want you to center yourself,
love that.
Focus, and it's so important because listen, we're in the health and wellness industry, so these people are really good at it, right? And they know how to.
It's like oxygen; you need it.
So our tagline is healthy, wealthy mind, body, and spirit, right? It all has to go together. We start with nutrition, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
The meditation part, right? So I tried it. We're
going to talk about that.
Right. So I tried it, but I failed miserably because I'm ADD and my brain's all over the place. But listen, just like walking, you failed, so you stopped.
And we don't know how you did it. We don't know what approach you took. I don't know what approach you took. I don't know. There's so much more to it than I did it. It didn't work, and that's where I am now. So
how
much
many
more.
how many of us would swear, "Oh no, meditation doesn't work"? You tried it 3 times.
You screwed up, man. It's you. It's you. It's always you. It's not it. It's you.
That's right.
It didn't work. You didn't work. It didn't work out. No, you didn't work out.
Listen, that's my entire industry. Like that doesn't work. How long did you try?
How did you try? Did you have the right mindset? Did you have the right support system?
Everything. And we're so quick to be negative.
It's our automatic. Well, think about it. I mean, if you're someone that watches, I won't even call it the news, and we're not going to get into that too deep at all, but the media, I mean, come on, we are just being bombarded by so much crap. It's unbelievable. And we can't turn it off. We're on YouTube. We're finding out what's going on politically. All the news is basically negative. I mean, we're getting, I'll pick a number, 95 to 99% of the stuff that surrounds us and then gets into our brains and into our DNA is negative. It just is. It could be, honking horns. I mean, it's every little thing. It's every big thing. And it's cumulative. So now think about it. We go out into the world and we expect to have a great life. It's impossible. It's all that. I think of it as like negative affirmations. I mean, you're constantly being bombarded by all this crap, and then you hear people's struggles in a negative way, in that, oh, this is what's happened to me, this person died, all this negativity. And if we're not aware that this is happening to us, this is where we land. That person's a bitch. We'll say that person's a pain in the ass. I can't work with that person. I mean, this is over years and years. If we don't really take stock in ourselves, see what's really going on here, we're dumping in a lot of crap and don't even realize it. Then the subconscious just keeps playing out all these scenarios every moment of every day. It's pretty sad. It really is. And I really feel that that's extremely accurate.
Have you ever heard the phrase, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with?
It's everywhere. That's why this mastermind group is so perfect.
Yeah. So listen, if anybody is ever saying, listen, I'm not getting where I want to go. Well, you know what? Stop and look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. And what is their energy? Is their energy positive? Is their energy negative? Like what comes out of their mouth? And what are they, what emanates from them?
Great point.
Negative or positive. So I'm listening to that. Like I started to think about the 5 most, like you spend the most time.
I was just doing that too. That's why I'm laughing.
So, it could be family, right? So it could be family. What if you have a really, really negative family member? You can't unfamily your family.
Can't imagine that.
But you have to change the 5. So listen, who was one of my 5? I don't, listen, so Tony Robbins is now one of my 5. But I don't know Tony Robbins. I spend a lot of time with him.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a lot of time with Tony Robbins, a lot of time with Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Oh, two of my favorites.
Yeah. So that's how you do it, right? So I don't know those people. The odds of me ever meeting them are really small, especially Wayne Dyer.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, but, you want to change things, you have to change the 5. I told one of my friends this, and she was like, like she wanted to know where she stands in my 5. Like, is she?
That's great.
You want to change your.
You're like 5.5.
You have to pay attention to who you spend the most time with, and then then of course, like even when you do identify that, you might say to yourself, well, I'm at the top of that 5. Like I'm up here.
Yeah, I know.
Dude,
not
you
good.
Need to be on the bottom.
Not good.
You need to be on the bottom of that 5 so that you're moving upward.
Or some way in the middle, the bottom third, middle somewhere, you know what I mean? Because it's good to be able to help someone that's still coming up, because when we teach, we learn. But we also need those people that have already achieved certain things in those areas that we can aspire to, and that they've laid the groundwork for it because they've done it. We've done it. And the people not below us, but the people that haven't yet have achieved quite a bit in their life. And there are people that aspire to achieve what they've achieved. That's a really good point.
I don't look at it from the accomplishments perspective. I look at it from the energy.
Isn't it interesting how a group like the Mastermind group can really, even if, think about it, let's say it's a 1% positive change in our lives each week. Man, that adds up fast. even if it's 1% every couple of weeks and it's consistent and it starts compounding, because everything we do is getting put out there. We're affecting people in a different way now. We're being affected in different ways. And that's going to have a snowball effect. It's going to have a cumulative effect. It's going to multiply, you know what I mean? And then we really don't know where all this is going to go, but it's all good energy. So, and it's consistent work in a consistent direction for a consistent amount of time. I mean, that's what they do.
Exactly.
Right. Isn't that the important thing? It's not dumping more information in. Oh my God, you read a book, there could be hundreds of good points when you think about it and you break it down. Because I don't know, sometimes I'll take notes and, I'm going to do this. And I find out I take on way too much. I really believe at this stage of my life that it's all about the action. It's all about not taking too much action at once. It's all about setting, I'm not going to say realistic goals because I think we should shoot higher, but increments every day, something we can do to make a difference. But I think it's starting at the foundational level. That's why I'm drawn to meditation, because sure, we can learn more about business, we can make more money, we can do all this stuff, but we're still not going to be happy. We're still not going to find out what it's like to be us.
Oh, Steve, that's
be comfortable in ourselves. I mean, we can go. I mean, that's just
being content is a whole topic onto itself,
and that's where I believe the foundation needs to be started. We're just kind of we're above that. We're just hanging out in these layers above, but because this was more business oriented, although we've gone off on different topics. But we can see how everything's connected, though.
Yeah. Oh, you're 100% right. Listen, if adult Tim didn't go back and look at what 14-year-old Tim did accomplish, not what he didn't accomplish, what he did accomplish.
Great point.
My level of satisfaction that that my childhood was a good childhood, like that the things went right, that you did things that most people would never have done.
Definitely not.
Right. So like when you can. And listen, it took me to be an adult to have to be able to look back at some of that stuff. Somebody like I visit with my high school friends frequently, and they have memories of me that I was like, what?
Yeah.
And they have a whole different perspective.
I love that.
Remember when you used to keep the score at the basketball game?
I know.
Wait a minute. That was in my head. Like, that was the darkest time of my life. But but yes, I went to every basketball game in high school, and I ran the scoreboard. Like if you're aware of things that you have done, you've been successful in your life, whatever it is, business, personal, relationships, anything. If you're constantly filling that bank with emotional money, right? You just keep filling that bank because you know that tomorrow shit's going to happen. You have to take money out.
Good point.
Going to get pulled out. The energy is going to get pulled out. So you better be able to keep filling that bank. Yeah. But if I was going to conclude, Steve, I was going to wrap this up. I would say to whoever's listening, I hope that something you already heard struck a chord with you. But you know what? When we're done and we say goodbye, play it again. Or play it again tomorrow or next week, because you're going to hear something you didn't hear the first time.
I couldn't agree more, because you're at a different point in your life where you can hear it, or your mind wasn't busy at this moment and you heard it, or you heard it for the 50th time and you finally get it, or now you're going to act on it. It's a great point. That's an absolute great. There's so many different, we go in so many different directions with this. I first read it, now listen to the audio of Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich it's like an 80-year-old book. Yeah. But at its core, it just changes your life. It just it's foundational. It's foundational. That's why.
Yeah. So how many times have I listened to that audio? I'm going to guess I'd be on my 11th or 12th.
Oh yeah, me too. Easily.
And every time I hear it, two things happen. Either I hear something that I did not hear the first time, because it's new, it hits me different today, or everything sinks in so deep that it becomes me.
That's a great place to end this conversation, I think.
Yes.
It was great. It was really good. You never know where it's going to end up. We try to stay on topic as best as possible, but it's all connected. That's the whole thing. This is all connected. And don't forget to hit the like button down below, guys and gals. And if you didn't like it, make sure you hit the dislike twice and subscribe. And thank you, Tim Ryan.
You got it, Steve. Thank you.
Talk to you on Monday for our Mastermind.
You got it.
And I'm Stephen Arecco, and ciao.
Take care, people.